I got a pretty fun pattern for you today. It's kind of unique. It's using this guy right here, Pepe Le Pew. Hello everybody, welcome to Savage Flies. I'm Matt, thanks for stopping by. So here's where we are. A couple months ago I picked up this skunk pelt, probably about $10. Not a real high quality pelt, doesn't have the big white stripe on it, but it's got plenty of the black. So anytime I'm flipping through some pattern books, if I see something that uses skunk, it kind of catches my eye. I think, hey, maybe I can use that pelt for it. So I did find one. Just today, found one in David Klausmeyer's 101 Favorite Nymphs and Wet Flies. He's got one in here called the Skunk Caddis. Now it's a really simple nymph pattern. The back 2/3 of it are black, and then maybe the front 1/3 is white. And it's using skunk tail. Skunk tail hair right here, which is a neat material in itself. If you've never tied with skunk, I'd recommend it. The tail is very coarse, a little bit crinkly. It kind of reminds me more of bear or maybe wild boar. Up here, the soft part of its body, this feels more like rabbit almost, or a fox, but the tail has a very distinct, trait to it. Now, if you don't have skunk tail, which I know a lot of you probably don't, you can just use dyed black bucktail and then white bucktail for the front half. And aside from this kind of exotic material, there's nothing tricky about the fly. It does have 2 ribs that wrap counter to each other just to really lock the material in. Now, I couldn't find anything on the history of this pattern. Klausmeyer doesn't mention it in the book, and online search didn't really tell me anything. But it's a kind of cool pattern. I can't wait to give it a try here in Maryland. Hope some of you folks will give it a shot too. So there's one in the vise, a Skunk Caddis. Common sizes for this, size 8 to 12. I'm going to go to the lower end and tie it on a size 12. I think that one in there was a 10, so this one's just a touch smaller. Let's get that centered. Okay, and black thread, I'm going to put a base down, to the start of the bend. Now I'm going to take my thread back up, almost all the way up, because this has got a rib, and it's a cross-hatched sort of rib, basically 2 ribs to it. So this is size brassy, and I've got a pretty long piece. I'm going to catch it in up toward the front about halfway, and I'll show you why in just a second. There's just a couple of wraps right here. Let's go 3. Now I'm going to fold it back over. Let's pinch it. So now you see that? It's going to be both my ribs. So I'm just going to catch this in all the way to the back with these laying right on top. Probably doesn't matter, but it will make for a neater body. Okay, that's going to be my rib right there, and I got a little nick in my thread, so I'm going to spend a few extra wraps just to get past it. There we go, and I can use that to smooth out that little step down from the rib to the hook. Okay, now the fun part. It is skunk tail. Now take a look at this skunk tail. It is, the tips of it are black, and then it gets to where the base is white. So I'm going to catch it in with the front part going forward, or the tips going forward, way up here, and then just some open wraps going back. And envision this like you would be, a pheasant tail, pheasant tail fibers. But the back, probably 2/3 to maybe a half, is going to be black, and then the front 1/3 or so is going to be white. So I'm going to just kind of spin these together a little bit and then wrap them up. And one broke right there, but that happens. Try not to hit the point of your hook, or more of them will break. And if you can, I've got 2 of them are broken right there. We'll trim those in just a second. It's going to be fine. But if you can do it and swing it, try to build a little bit of a taper right here. And I'm going to have to just kind of spin this as a little bit more of a rope going up. So you can tell this stuff is not the easiest material to work with. But it does have a unique property. It's a little bit glossy. Can you tell? That is almost looks like a silk, but it is a pretty thick, coarse body material. So let's go ahead and snip this one off right there. And yeah, let's go ahead and take care of these broken ones right here. We'll probably trap them with the rib in just a second, but might as well go ahead and trim them. So take another clump of the skunk tail. This time, where you cut it off from the white, I'm going to catch it in right here. And I've got about, I would say, 1.5 inches of white fibers. Maybe, yeah, probably 1.5 inches. So catch that in right here. I've got one that's going long. I'm going to need to go ahead and trim it. And then just try to get a little ramp right here. We do have a hackle in a minute, but we're going to put about 3 wraps of this white. You want it to be maybe a little bit thicker than the part in the black part in the back. So that's, I think might only get 2 wraps here. I'm going to try to cord it back up and then catch it off. There's not a lot of give to this. It's not a hollow fiber or hair. But I think we got it caught in enough right there. Let's go ahead and snip this off. And then just a couple extra wraps to really try to lock that. Okay, so that's our two-tone black and white body. Now pull these up and just wrap them however they're laying. One of them you're going to wrap the same way you wrap the fibers, and the next one you're going to counter wrap. So about 4 or 5 wraps should be sufficient right here. And 2 or 3 locking wraps up here so you can pull it tight and spin this off. Now let's do the other one. Let's counter wrap this guy right here, and it will crisscross the ones we just put down and really lock these skunk tail fibers in. Now I'm sure you could have gotten away with a small wire. This is a brassy. And I tied one with a small, and it looked fine, and I'm sure it would hold it fine, but I think I like the brassy just a little bit better. Gave it a little bit more substance and a little bit more weight. So leave your thread right back here. We're going to tie in a black soft hackle, and we need obviously room for our head. So I've got a black hen feather right here. It's about, I don't know, maybe 3 inches long. I want to create a little V notch right there for my tie-in point, and I'm probably only going to get 2 wraps, maybe 3 if I'm lucky, you know, before I start really crowding my eye. So I'm going to fold that back, lock it in with a couple of wraps. Now I'll snip this tip off. And let's see, let's wrap this and see how many we get. With a short feather like this, after 2 wraps, the stem might be getting a little bit too thick to use. So that's 1. Probably should have grabbed my hackle pliers here, but we're okay. So that's 2. I'm gonna live on the edge and see if I can squeeze 1 more wrap out of this guy. So there's 3. My head might end up being just a little bit clobbered, a little bit clunky, but we'll see. Okay, so that's 3 wraps right there. Let's get in here and snip that as close as we can get it. And the hackle, that's the length I want, but did I mess up my head? We'll see. I think we can. It's definitely going to be a fishable fly, but just how neat is this head going to be? Okay. That's not too bad. And we can definitely get our tippet through that eye. So build up this just like you would a nymph or a soft hackle. As big as you want. I think that's going to be big enough right there. Let's go ahead and whip finish this. Put my scissors there and poke them. Okay, and there you go. You can see a little bit of that white underneath in the body. Most of the body is black, but that's it. Skunk Caddis. Pretty nifty little pattern. And again, if you don't have skunk tail for this, black bucktail, white bucktail would would work. It might not give you that gloss, but it's still going to be a good looking fishable fly. So that's it, my friends. I appreciate you watching. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.